For the next session, we have two stalwarts of financial industries in India, leaders in investment banking and wealth management. They have witnessed the transformations and disruptions in the industry over the past 5 decades, and in their own way, transformed the industries they have been a part of. To moderate the session, I would like to invite Mr. Ashish Gumasta, the former Executive Chairman and CEO at Julius Baer India. Mr. Gumasta, for most of us, needs no introduction here. He's been one of the pioneers of professional wealth management in India and one of the founding members of DSP Merrill Lynch's private client group. And even though we might all know this, what we might not be aware is that Mr. Gumasta has been someone who's managed India's largest book of business. As a financial advisor, Mr. Gumasta had individual assets under advisory of around $5 billion US. Also, besides his focus on wealth management, Mr. Gumasta is involved in several philanthropic initiatives related to disability, education, health, and community services. Mr. Gumasta, over to you for taking the discussion forward with Mr. Kothari.
Thank you, Nimish. That was a great session, very enlightening, good perspective on the market. Learned a lot about behavioral finance. In fact, in my 30 years of wealth management, what I've learned, wealth management is only about behavioral finance, and it was a very, very interesting session. What you will gain with the next session with Hemendra Bhai is all of you who are building careers, businesses, how to think about your career, how to build about your business. There hasn't been a stalwart like him. I'm privileged that I was fortunate to start my career with him. And in the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll try and cover all the aspects which touch each one of your life, and hopefully you will take back something. So Hemendra, thank you. It's my honor that they chose me for taking this session with you. We all owe our careers to you, and thank you for coming and speaking to this young crowd. I was seeing over lunch the enthusiasm, the networking each one is doing. This is a charged up crowd, and hopefully Nimish has moderated their excitement a bit. So Hemendra, just a bit on the background. So you come from a family of stockbrokers and you started your career in the textile industry.
My family has been in this business since before 1866, so you can count the years. I'm the 4th generation, my daughter is the 5th generation. It was a reason I went into textile because my father wanted me not to come to the stock market at all. He said, there is nothing, no future here, and you start looking for something else. And I had just done my BCom. And then my very good friend's father, Mr. Piramal, he said, if you are going to industry, your capital which you are going to put, your father, I think with your experience of BCom and no experience whatsoever, maybe you will lose that money. I think he made sense. So he said, why did you come to textile mill of Moraji Mills? So, okay, when? I said, he says, tomorrow. So I joined the textile mill at 9 o'clock in the morning. He said, you go to first see what's happening into how we are mixing the cotton, spinning, weaving, and then afternoon you sit in the store, purchase. So I was sitting opposite him. After 2 months, I felt, I think I have done enough of that. So I went to his, again, Mr. Piramal, and he said, now you go to printing, and in the afternoon the merchants come and you talk to them. So that happened, and then I started going to Mulji Jeta market. And it happened that in next 6 months or so, by the year end, I was made assistant sales manager. I was working hard, going early morning, returning, those days even by bus, and reaching home at Worli Seaface. Then suddenly after about few months, the head of sales, he wanted to resign and go to another job opportunity. And we had a new chief executive. He had joined, from cotton purchase. He was the head of cotton purchase in the textile mill. So when he said to me that this gentleman wants to, your technically boss wants to go and get a job somewhere, and he says he is prepared to give a couple of months more, that Hemendra has to pick up and understand. So he calls me inside and tells me, you have more experience than I have about textile selling. So when I'm calling him back to meet me, the person who was heading, you go and sit in his chair. I was shocked. And now you take over this sales side, local sales is in your hand. You have been talking to the various merchants, you know what is happening. What I want is 2-3 things. You increase the price every time you make a contract, new contract. If the merchants come to you and they want to meet me, let them meet me. I'll be talking about history and various other aspects and social, other part of the life, but not about the selling and buying anything. You take a decision. And that's how I entered the textile mill, and I became reasonably successful. We made the record profits. The end of 2 years or so, I said I've got enough gain experience, I have confidence enough to work. And I said to my father, I want to join. Though he was reluctant, I joined. And that was a 69, and I think bank nationalization took place at the same time. And forward trading closed down. There was a strike. The business was hardly any over there at that time. I was not able to get a BCom graduate into the stock market to assist me there. So those were the different days. Taxation was 97.5% and 5% well tax. But I was very fortunate, can you hear me, no? Fortunate to started thinking to go and meet institutions, Life Insurance Corporation, General Insurance Corporation, New India, Unit Trust of India. There are very few institutions. And they started, fortunate, they started liking me and started the business on the equity, learned about fixed income, and that's where we were also doing well. Then the turning point came in 75, 76. That time also dividend freeze and income freeze and all those things that come after that. Oil prices had gone up off the roof. And I said, there's a lot of money there in the Middle East. And let me go to the Europe and go to the Middle East also. So I met some in 21 days, some 20, 30 banks. So I would like to work with you in India if you give me opportunity. One of the bank, Midland Bank, those days, which is no more that time. After a few years, it went down. But anyway, we started the friendship. And in 76, I had gone to USA after that, first Boston. And they were impressed with the idea that we can do something in India. So I went there, and the chief, he became a chairman after that, executive vice president, that why not we start some sort of a work together. But all these things are managed from London. So next, and I was talking to him in lunchtime, which he had invited me. I said, he is available only tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in London. So I took the evening flight, flew there to London, shaved and everything, in fact, in the plane itself, dumped bags in the hotel, and went to the meeting. We shook hands, and it happened that way, that first Boston went bust a year later. So that efforts of wanting to join, and I realized they were keen, but then I think it's too much of time and money I was spending traveling outside. Then I started focusing on all Indian institutions. Then I was used to meet Merrill Lynch and various other people once in 2-3 years when I was traveling to meet my family there, my sister, etc. And when they themselves started in 1983-84, investment banking. Before that, I started a company called DSP Financial Services. We started, basic idea was to attract people. That is a company, it's not a partnership firm only. And that made a difference in getting people to DSP. So that was a turning point to some extent, though we were doing not too much of business on that side, mainly raising fixed deposit for the companies and being the main agent for them. But that brought the relationships with various companies. Then came the time where I started looking at what can we do. Company on one side required money, and other side, insurance and institutions have money lying and they want to increase their yield. So we came out with controller capital issue, just like just now we have here SEBI, that time controller of capital issues. Everything which I had to be, permission has to be taken from them. I used to go to Delhi often, sometimes taking the 6 o'clock morning flight, back by the last flight to save the cost. I gave him idea, why don't we have on a gross current asset called working capital 20%, because otherwise, unless it is secured, it was considered fixed deposits. So that really caught the eyes of a lot of corporates. And so we had 60, 70 companies interested in that time, and that brought the more relationship with me. Then there was another turning point in my life. I started looking at people. How do I get and attract people to DSP? The idea came to me that we should pay more. We wanted IIT and IIMs and chartered accountants into the company. So we did a research of internal research, what is the maximum people are paying, like multinational banks particularly. So we started paying 25-30% higher, so people questioned me internally that we are paying more than the bigger companies. I say, yeah, we have to pay because we are small. We have to attract them. So that's how we started, and we started getting good people, good quality people in DSP. And there are a lot of people who are there and are successful outside now. I am in AMC. I was mainly an investment banker. Then in 1985, idea came to us, Merrill Lynch and us jointly, 84, 85, that why not we get the foreign investors to India. How to get them in India? So there was an example, Brazil and that time Korea also was thinking of having country funds. We presented that to Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was a Reserve Bank governor. He liked the idea, and then suddenly everything was moving smoothly. Mrs. Gandhi passed away in 85, and 85, it got delayed then. 86, we again came back. And so that's the first time the country fund was formed, and the foreign institutional investors, we raised about 75 million pounds. It was oversubscribed, 60 million pounds, and what we call kept some 15 million pounds extra. So that was the thing which started by getting foreign investors to come to India first time in India. Before that, I had taken them to various companies to see them, and those companies also became close to us. So that was I'm talking about 80s. And Merrill Lynch and we had a very good relationship I started knowing their chairman onwards to everybody. And it happened that Merrill Lynch started depending and working together on all transactions. That was the agreement we went into. And when India opened up in 91, we decided that let's try to think that particular time before that. Sorry, I'm going back. Before that, the first one started was 1983-84, was a German bank, Dresdner Bank, which they wanted a branch here, which I convinced them, why don't I represent you rather than having a branch here? It will be maybe 1/4 of your cost. They agreed. And immediately after 6 months, the bank, French Exim Bank also wanted somebody similar thing with us. So Merrill Lynch, German bank, which gave me a lot of experience and broad discipline. I stayed 21 days there in Germany. They taught me how the basic business practices of theirs. Then it happened in later on in 87, 88, I started a friendship with the Swiss Bank Corporation. They were the force there, which is now UBS. Then we raised money for Indian companies like IDBI, institutions like IDBI, ICICI, and State Bank of India, and various oil companies from India. So that was a period of mine where it was not any competition seriously with me on that side. And we were quite successful. But that brought the relationship with various corporate in India also. We used to meet, whether it was a Tata, Birla or Reliance, those days of course were not that big. But everything started with various companies from Calcutta to Chennai and Delhi and other cities. I was there. We may have been fortunate to do nearly 70-75% of the large companies' business over here. So I would say I was lucky. Then as I realized, attracting people and keeping them and delegating them is the most important thing to be a success. Delegate them and make them do, if they are enthusiastic, they will be successful. Of course, you should keep a watch what's happening and encourage them. It started like that, and then it happened that in mid-90s, I had an idea, why don't we have a mutual fund? Unit Trust of India is the only one. We actually had a signed agreement with IDBI, and that time Mr. Natkani, a very famous person, who was earlier CEO of ICICI, he was IDBI chairman, and he suggested, why not? Dr. Patil, who became a SEBI head afterwards. But it took such a long period that I said, I would like to, I'm want to give up on this particular joint venture. There I got various international investors like Merrill Lynch, Templeton, Fidelity, to be a partner with us on that side. But realized that this kind of thing doesn't work. So we changed the course. We did not go through. But I did help. The first fund came, some of them, I think maybe they are from Templeton here. The first fund came in 96 it came. And it was going door to door to explain to people about a mutual fund. Just before the mutual fund started, there was a Morgan Stanley came out with a close-ended fund, and that created a lot of popularity and a confusion later on because it was a close-ended, and people didn't realize what the instrument was. There was a literally queue round the stock exchange and round Dalal Street and Hammam Street for application over there. It got oversubscribed, and it was quoted at a premium. which is unusual for a mutual fund to be having a premium of 30-40% on net asset value. Naturally, it couldn't last. But that created impression in the investor's mind, a negative impression on mutual funds. So that was the hard work of selling Templeton. That time Alliance also was there. They also came out with. And then people like us and ICICI and others came with the fund management side. So that was the thing, in fact.
Oh, thank you, Hemendra. Thank you for the journey. Now, within this, we'll try and draw your experience on how the audience can benefit. So you run an investment bank, the largest institutional sale business, today one of the largest wealth management businesses, asset management. We have a lot of youngsters here. What's your advice to them on building a successful career in financial services?
You said very funny about wealth management. We were the first one to think of wealth management in India, and they started wealth management. And those days, what wealth management, I learned, of course, from Merrill Lynch, how they were going about it. To some extent, we tried to copy, but that's what we did, the first one, to come out with the wealth management here. The family offices, meeting them, advising them. So, though that time it was not making so much money, things have changed, of course, and I'm very happy about that. And your question, sorry?
So, your advice to the youngsters on how they should
I think the first advice is hard work. I used to work on Saturdays also. And used to have lunches on Sundays also. So it's a question of working. I used to get a call. Merrill Lynch had an office in Hong Kong, Singapore, and they used to call me at, the 9 o'clock. They used to, so that 6:30, 7 o'clock, I used to get a call. I had to remind them, this is my time is 6:30, and just for information. But they just next day again came. And not only that, I used to get a call at 12 o'clock at night to 12:30 from New York. And I had to tell them the time difference between us and them. So those were the different days. You were there working and prepared to work all the time. So our relationship and explaining to the bureaucrats also was that time. I was very much in touch with all of them and trying to tell what I felt that time. We are very lucky to have Dr. Manmohan Singh as a finance minister, and we had a very good, very active finance secretaries those days also. Of course, today also they are. The question which is there is, today in any situation we have to see few things here. The most important is, today's business has grown many times. Risk management is one of the things we cannot neglect at all. Ethical way of working, there is no other way I like to compromise but to be very ethical. Honesty, integrity is of course understood, and do things what you believe is the right way to go and try to do things, in fact. Other things are, of course, don't get carried away. Just because somebody else is doing, ask yourself whether can you do it or not.
So Hemendra bhai, I joined you in '94, and possibly one of the largest number of CEOs or CXOs in the financial services in the industry would be from DSP, be it Bank of America, Tata Sons, all the private equities, Bain, A91, Equirus, Birla Group. I mean, you name it, they are all. So what's the secret behind it? And you've already mentioned one point of delegation, but today, what are the learnings you can share whereby one can identify, build and retain talent? Because there's so much churn going on in our industry. I meet wealth managers from one company, then 2 years later, they are another company, then they are another company. So how does one really, I mean, you were really successful in holding your team together, motivating all of us, and then today, if you take any leading institution, there would be a DSP person there.
I'm very proud of that, first of all. I used to encourage youngsters Not that I was very old, but at the same time, I like to give responsibility to people. And of course, they are answerable for what they were doing. We used to we work in a team. I used to have sometimes, which is not happening now, unfortunately, I used to get youngsters and seniors in the same place and in a conference and ask any new ideas if they have or discuss for 1.5 hours and come out. I was surprised with the new ideas the youngsters used to come out with, and it did help bringing everybody together, and the friendship internally and cooperative also helped. We had established, of course, that time offices in most of the leading cities for even investment banking. So that's one that I'm fortunate and just happened to be right time in place. Maybe more than 75% of the large industries I've done business with in my career. And I'm very happy with what happened. I just don't want to do anything which spoils the image or ethically anything wrong. Youngsters will have to work hard. Nothing happens on its own. So that's one thing. Today, things are happening, like we have to read a lot. We are going to see AI changing the world to some extent. So we cannot ignore that also. We have to learn about it, how it can be useful in our business. We have to think on that. But in the end, it's hard work.
Thank you. You spoke about partnerships. Possibly DSP had the largest number of partnerships, started with Dresner, then with the French bank, with Merrill Lynch, with BlackRock, with Swiss Banking Corporation, which is now UBS. So for the benefit of our audience, Hemendra bhai, how can one have successful partnerships? How do you build two-way trust, because a lot of global entities are coming into India. You went and sought out the biggest names where nobody was open in India. Now, a lot of them are looking at India. So how should one think about it? How can one build a successful relationship?
I think it was creating a trust between ourselves. There was a view which I gave and they agreed, some of them, that though they were minority in a joint venture, we used to have a unanimous decision. If it is not a unanimous decision, either that particular topic will be postponed, and if still we go at a senior level to sort that out. So there was never a serious things. Yes, I didn't agree with Merrill Lynch in 2006, 5, 6, 7, where they wanted to trade here and large trading on a proprietary basis, which is, I never used to be a trader. I never did forward trading, you'll be surprised with, but that was not my cup of tea. And so that's where a little difference started with us. And then they wanted to do large trading, and they pushed me to, or aggressively wanted to buy this DSP, that time Merrill Lynch, and I agreed. But they insisted that I should keep 10% shareholding, and insisted I stay for 2 more years, and would say corrupted me with a large, huge bonus of $7-8 million was a big thing those days. So I agreed to stay only to continue for my people also. And in 2009, I parted with them. And I was never in the asset management, to tell you, though we had a joint venture with Merrill Lynch. And I learned a little later about asset management, and basically the principles remain same, and working differently though. Here we are advising people to invest, or investing, creating a right instrument for public at large to invest in. So this is it. Anything else?
So for coming to the family office now, Hemendra bhai, you are the 4th generation. possibly the largest wealth creator in a fourth generation. We have many successful entrepreneurs, IFAs, youngsters sitting here. What's your advice on how can they build a multi-generational business? I mean, what is the thinking that goes behind building a multi-generation business?
I think, first of all, family has to come together with philosophy. If somebody wanted, like my brother and me, we were together partly on that point of view till 91, 92. Then he wanted to be in the business of a chemical company, and I didn't want to go into industry. So he says he wants to party. One day he came to me, and I said, and he gave his proposition, which was, I may have thought it's not fair or not, but I am the older of the lot, of the both. So you give me 20 minutes to sit alone and think. So I said, whatever you say is okay with me, and let's do whatever you like, and I will go my way. And this is the way we worked, and he is successful. We are successful, I believe. That's the position. So you have to sort out the matters amicably as much as possible, and think long term. In that, in my company or my business, my two daughters are there. There also we have divided what the responsibility of both of them are there as of just now. What will happen tomorrow, we don't know. So that's the position as such.
So we have a similar question from the audience also on conflict, that conflicts in India are now very common. Many families are under dispute. You have yourself mediated many of these family resolutions. You've been involved. Can you share some insights with the audience, on...
I have not done much of mediation. Okay? My general advice may have given, but not otherwise. That is, you have become expert in that. I am not. But I just tell people a very simple thing. It's best sit down together, give and take a little bit. You can't just take. So it's the only way it happens. And it is better to divide the interests. What is his interest? Whether it is in manufacturing, whether in financial services, what is their interest? On that basis, it should be done something. And to separate, they want to remain jointly, it's fine. Sometimes it doesn't happen more than a couple of generations or 2-3 generations. But many families we have seen Bajaj going since long, Birlas going for such a long period of time. So we are fortunate to see various groups in India like Tata and even Reliance now. So we have to see how it progresses in future.
So Hemendra, we have a session after this on succession planning. But the question to you is that what are the key elements of an effective succession planning? How do you ensure succession? Because a lot of families are now coming to the stage where the baton will be handed to the next generation.
If we can create some sort of principles, we can prepare some sort of a simple, without memorandum between the family. What is our objectives? What is the objective of the family? How we are going to go ahead between the children, etc. And what are the business we want to focus, and who will do what, if they can. It depends on the person's merit, like education-wise, etc. And then passion. So there are various things are there. But in that also there are differences are come. They have to sort out that problem. See, every thing, I would say, company and families are different. It is not similar. So you have to think about at that particular time, I suppose. It doesn't happen that in my family there are no difference of opinion. Between my daughter and me also there are difference of opinion. So it's a question we have to see, and it's a give and take. And that's how we have to move forward. The most important thing in this is having right people around you. Motivate youngsters, and whether they are from the family or from outside, and give them enough opportunity to work and keep their enthusiasm alive by giving them freedom. That's the way I look at it.
So Hemendra, now moving on to your current favorite topic, philanthropy. You were a tiger of the Indian capital markets. Now almost every tiger in the jungle knows you. I don't know how many people are aware, but Hemendra Bhai is the largest individual donor. Yeah. So Hemendra Bhai is the largest individual donor to wildlife conservation. In fact, last year he won the Oscar in wildlife conservation, which is an award, the Oak Leaf Award at Washington. So Hemendra Bhai, you are now a leading philanthropist besides other area in nature and wildlife conservation. The question is, what drove you to nature and this passion of giving back to the society? You keep telling us learn, earn, return, right? So what is
First of all, I started enjoying watching tiger by accident. I went, few friends, we went to Nainital, and in between we found Corbett National Park, and we went there without reservation. And I fell in love with seeing a leopard there as we entered there. And I think to some extent that attracted me and my family, my wife, late wife, she also was very keen interest. So there are various reasons it happened. In 2000, 2001, I started Wildlife Conservation Trust. I used to go to Tadoba and Ranthambore and various other forests, Bandhavgarh, etc. I started seeing something changing. I used to see pug marks, and pug marks were not seen. So I realized there is something wrong. So I made a lot of hue and cry, made all the industry and leading business people, and front page news came those days that tigers are getting poached, disappearing, and the forest. But my objective, I realized afterwards, it is as important, not tiger, but the forest which they live in. Today, because of the forest, we have rivers, we have potable water, and so that made me go into the Nature Conservancy, the largest conservancy in the world, which I am a chairman in India. And so the focus is now, remains conservation, wildlife, but apart from wildlife is the nature itself. And environment, everybody is seeing there is a change in climate change, and we all have to be trying to do our best to do that. Another passion for me is education and health side, so which I do, and I want to give. Now my time has come to give. Nobody takes with them any upstairs, so time to give also, and which I will continue to do that. And his wife has been very helpful to me and managing my foundation. So that's, I'm very lucky on that. So that the story is, I'm doing in 166 national park and sanctuaries. And
thank you. Thank you, Hemendra. Hemendra, this was covered in the previous session also, but we have information overload today. So much information coming, people giving different views. You are one of the finest bankers. You are one of the finest bankers in the country. Everyone giving you inputs at all given points of time. Now, how does one maintain a steady investment approach based on conviction, rather than getting disturbed with short-term noise? The previous speaker also said a defense order comes, they buy today and they sell in 15 days, and the order is in 60 years. So, how does today, what's your advice to our audience?
I think systematic investment is a better way of going about it. Divide your, I'm conservative, honestly. As I told you, I don't do forward trading. I never did forward trading, though people may say anything. Nor my clients also used to have forward trading. So I used to see investment as a long-term basis. That was the focus. Fundamental was the main thing. And on that basis, I used to invest. I never paid too much attention on investment, personally. My attention more was on doing business. I make money in business rather than investments only. That was the point I'm making to you. But investment is so important for today's, but that should not become the individual youngsters' job should be only doing today. I've seen a lot of people, I say, what you are doing? I say, I'm doing investment and buying and selling. I think I am not happy with that situation. People should be doing some work. Investment is byproduct to some extent of savings, and that's the way it should be seen as.
Thank you, Hemendra. We have a small quick fire question for you. You've already answered my first question, which is for the audience that own businesses rather than just focus on investing. The second is Indian business versus joint venture. I mean, what do you think?
It depends on every company's need. If they think they want more technology and more market outside, and if they are getting good value, why not?
So, Hemendra, now some questions about your individuality. What is the sport you love, and any favorite sportsman?
I like cricket, football.
Any favorites there? Or not?
Many favorites are there.
Okay. What does Hemendra Kothari do in his free time? I mean, there's not been, I know you told them you work 14, 16 hours, but in your free time?
I'm not doing that now. I do only 3 to 4 hours work. And after 4 hours, I get bored there. So 3-4 hours is good enough for me to take up everything what I want to know, and I just work on that. Then we meet friends, we play cards, bridge or rummy or anything. 3 hours that, then go home. I walk. Morning I do my yoga, but evening I like to see sports. So whether it is cricket, less movies, which I'm told I should see more movies. But anyway, I enjoy sports. I'm seeing Olympics up to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning today. So that's what is going on. That's my interest.
Person you admire, idolize?
Well, too many.
Okay. Food which you enjoy? What food do you enjoy, Hemendra?
I enjoy many food. I am a vegetarian, so first of all. I enjoy my Guju food. I enjoy North Indian also. I like Bel Puri and Pani Puri. So I like dosas and idlis, and when I'm in US, New York and London, I crave for that. But food is such a thing that everybody should enjoy, different kind of food.
Now these DSP guys have asked me to ask this question to you. Are you scared of anybody?
I'm scared of my 2 daughters.
Okay. Okay, Hemendra, thank you. Any last 3 suggestions for our audience? I
would like if anybody wants a question to be from the audience.
So actually,
if you have time, I'm passing. I'm sorry.
I think there's a question here, and they had come here. I've merged it in the questions here, but please, there's a question.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
So we usually hear that first generation makes a wealth, second generation builds upon it.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
First generation makes a wealth, second generation builds upon it, and third generation enjoys it. And to the second context, in the Bhagavad Gita, it said that कामना से क्रोध उत्पन्न होता है, क्रोध से मोह उत्पन्न होता है, मोह से स्मरण शक्ति का नाश होता है. My question is, when we meet clients, the promoter, the first generation, they are now in their old age, they are living still. But when we meet the second generation people, they are in conflicts with each other, right? When we meet the main promoter, they are totally on the concept of a moh, right? How do you manage such kind of situation if you were there in the first generation place? How will we manage such situation? Whereas you cannot, because since you are the father of that family, you are not in a position to ask your children to separate it out, but these children are not in a agreement position. How do you manage such a situation?
Understand the question.
He's saying that the next generation is fighting and the first generation understands this. How do they resolve that conflict?
It's an interesting one. Every family has a different way of looking at it. But it is important that people, as we grow, and the company and the industry business grow, they have to make up their mind how they divide the businesses. I was very fortunate. My brother and me agreed very immediately. 25 minutes I agreed. Didn't go for valuation or anything. So it's a question of give and take. But every situations are different.
my advice to you would be, I've been part of some of these panels, is to identify the real problem. A lot of time goes in identifying the real problem. 7 out of 10 it is money, but sometimes there are other issues. So if you want to be a good financial advisor, you have to, once you have identified the problem, the solution is very simple. Spend time on them, and that will come out of meeting different people who are around them. And that's my whatever it is.
Thank you.
Question? Yeah, please.
Hi sir, I am Prem Shivare. Sir, today you are Mr. Kothari, everyone knows you. But if you have to start today, from where you will start, what you will do today? You have to start from scratch. You are not a billionaire.
Which
like
business, that will have to start thinking first.
Yeah.
Whether finance or industry, whether trading or non-trading. So what is the question? Which, it depends on that particular time.
But you can tell him what next you're doing. Every day he has a new idea. So your next 2 ideas you should share with him. Now, what you are just launching.
Yes sir, you can freely share.
See, just now my idea is to see that how we become more professionalized. I'm starting a finance company also,
Okay.
which is my ex-colleague and my very close, who is the one who I brought him into the business, Jayesh Mehta of Bank of America. He just retired and joined me. So starting NBFC, just to create interest and my own enthusiasm in doing something. Hopefully we are successful. Risk management, ethical side, of course, has to be seen first. We believe that we'll be successful with the technology also. So that's the way it is. Anything else?
Yeah, sure. So today you have every resource at your disposal.
Sorry?
Today you have every resource at your disposal. You have built it, you have earned it. But now if everyone is starting, he or she doesn't have all the resources. So what the advice should be?
If he doesn't have any resources, like you have all the resources to start a business, he's starting his career tomorrow. What is your advice?
Let me tell you my experience. I got 1 lakh working capital to start business with. Okay? When I joined, there was no profit, no loss in my company.
Okay.
So you have to think yourself how you are going to increase the business and do that. And maybe I was fortunate. Maybe I work hard, so you have to think on that and to think creatively, continuously. I am today over 75, but I have to think how can I do more. It keeps interest in you or yourself, and also your objective of wanting to give also. Because if you make money, you can give more. So both the things have to go together.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks for answering.
Thank you.